Lineups here. There's only one change for North Carolina. That's at 174, where instead of Sabino Portela, who wrestled to a 22-6 win over UNC Pembroke, Cade Tenold is taking his place. 174, a loaded weight class around the ACC. Maddie Singleton returning, ranked 5th in the country, and there are 5 other ranked wrestlers behind him. North Carolina is the only ACC school without a wrestler in the top 30 at 174.
Yeah, and that just changed once we got the Josh Ogunsanya news.
Yep.
So look for, one of these Tar Heel wrestlers is going to rise from the pack. We'll see 3 different 174s for the Tar Heels tonight, so we'll see which one kind of takes a hold of the weight class and make it 6 ranked wrestlers in the ACC by the end of the year.
Just introduced Tenold, Aiden Schlett, Mikey Calcagno, and Jacob Levy will round out the upper weights. Levy finished off the first duel with a pin in 1 minute and 27 seconds. Freshman came in with high praise, and he certainly delivered. Levy, another wrestler that's going to have to wrestle all 3 matches this afternoon because Nolan Neves, North Carolina's usual starting heavyweight, is out with an ankle injury. Matched up with Spencer Lenoska last weekend. He lost 17-3, but that match really turned midway through the first period. Lenoska went for a takedown, fell on Nolan Neves' ankle, and Neves was hobbled the rest of the way through. He finished the match, but he was clearly hampered.
Yeah, Nolan is one of those guys that came on really, really strong in the second half of last year and had some incredible wins. I know probably win of the season against Dayton Pitzer of Pitt and sealed up the dual meet. But having Neves out, I think is, if you had to pick a weight, I think it might be 285. Tar Heels got a really good backup with true freshman Jacob Levy. I think they want to see what he has and look for him to develop. This will be big, getting some early matches on the mat out for the Tar Heels early in his career.
There's an interesting balance to strike for North Carolina's coaching staff because of the redshirt rule that's in place for Levy.
Yeah, so you get 5 competitions throughout the season, and it'll be interesting to see when they want to use those. I know we're going to be using some today, and so that'll be using some of his matchups and, really be relying on Neves later in the second half of the season. But Levy's one of those guys who's true freshman, super athletic, Fargo champion, and came out, opened his season with a victory at the Southeast Open. So, I think sky's the limit for Levy this year.
After the Carolina duels, UNC has a bit of a layoff, Thanksgiving break, of course, on campus. And then West Virginia, December 12th, and a trip to the Midwest, Nebraska, Northern Iowa, and they wrap it up with the Soldier Salute. Greensboro College forfeited at 125, so we begin the second duel at 133. Marco Tassi, Tristan Woodward, the competitors.
Yeah, Tassi coming off of a major decision win just about 30 minutes ago. In here on an early single leg attempt. Scrambled his way for a takedown. As we mentioned, it was a forfeit at 125, so UNC is already up 6-0 in the team score. Great defense by Tassi.
Matched up with Woodward, the true freshman. Woodward listed on the Greensboro roster as a 149-pounder, so he's certainly cut some weight to make it here against Tassi.
You don't see 2 weight classes difference very often. Must have been a very small 149 or a huge 133, but Tassi off to a fast start, wasting no time. Getting back to his elbow control high crotch that we saw earlier today. Right back into a shot again.
And on a double, he rolls him over.
And we'll cut again. Tashi looking for his 6th takedown here in the first period. Outside double attempt. Finds himself, comes up to an underhook. Picks up the leg, and he's got him caught on his back.
2 points for the near fall. And there we go, 20-5. Tech fall for Marco Tassi.
Wasting no time. 6 takedowns in 2 minutes and adding on a couple back points.
Schedule says that that's Tassi's last match of the afternoon. Ethan Oakley slated to wrestle against Davidson. So North Carolina certainly has to be impressed with what they saw from the backup at 133, handling business.
Yeah, what we're seeing today from Carolina is just a lot of depth and really good depth. So, you know, that's good knowing that these starters are getting pushed every day and really have to work just to stay in the starting lineup.
Second bout for Luke Simcox. He pinned Donovan Edwards at 141 against UNCP.
Comes out with a slick drag attempt in the first couple seconds of the match. We saw 2 of those against Pembroke. He's got a really good feel there. You know, these UNC wrestlers are wasting no time. Almost had a 2nd takedown in the first 15 seconds of the match. Simcox is a really slick wrestler. One of the most highly recruited athletes on the current UNC team. I know UNC has some super high hopes and expectations for Simcox.
Simcox, someone that worked through a shoulder injury for his entire senior season of high school and still beat Pearson Manville, who's now at Arizona State, for a state title as a senior.
And not just that, Simcox had a pretty serious back injury from dirt biking after his senior year, and so maybe a little bit of that. He was feeling some of that his first year here, but you know, we've seen a couple ranked wins from Simcox to start off this season, and no problem here today. He's been scoring points at will. Cradle attempt here for Simcox. Trying to adjust his opponent's shoulders to get him flat on the mat. Trying to use his bottom knee, and they'll get it.
Simcox pins LeJunior Price.
At 141 pounds, Luke Simcox of North Carolina defeats LeJunior Price by fall.
A pin in 1 minute and 26 seconds for Luke Simcox, who has spent a total of under 4 minutes on the mat in his first 2 matches, both by way of fall.
And from North Carolina, Nick O'Neal.
Greensboro sends another true freshman, Julian McLeod, to match up with Nick O'Neal at 149.
O'Neal's another guy with a good slide by. We said it earlier, he set up some traps in his first match. It didn't take him long for that, and he's already got a cradle attempt. Go be quickest pin of the day.
There it is.
And it just takes 15 seconds. He pops up onto his feet.
If you blinked, you might have missed it. Nick O'Neal. 15 seconds of fame.
Runs on the mat, runs off the mat. He wasted no time out there today. And the team score is already at 24-0. You know, and you're Greensboro and you might be a little bit outmatched. You want to make everything frustrating. If you can frustrate your opponent and get them to do things that they wouldn't have originally, you know, that's the game plan here. You want to make things hard and try to slow the match down.
Carson Gardner matches up with Joey Showalter at 157.
Another slide by attempt, 3 in a row at 41, 49, and 57. Got the crossface. We're looking up a cradle. This will be the third cradle. He's got him on his back, trying to readjust the bottom knee to the side, get the shoulders flat on the mat.
4 near fall points already for Showalter. He's got Gardner, the freshman from nearby Mebane, trapped.
He's got a strong grip, and that'll do it. 3 cradles in a row for the Tar Heels.
Showalter can't beat Nick O'Neill, but a 43-second pin, impressive nonetheless.
Tar Heels are wasting no time out here tonight.
Do you think Charlie Derricott expected to wrestle 13 minutes in?
Yeah, you hope he warmed up right.
Derricott should be plenty warm. He did go the distance against Nick Williams for a major decision win.
That wasn't too long ago, so he's probably still warm from his last match, but it's, at this point you got to start to tell the heavyweights to get ready. And we saw Charlie earlier today. He's got great leg attacks, high crotches to both sides. He can wrestle on both sides of the body.
Quick takedown on Nick Menjivar.
Now will we see another cradle attempt from here on top from a Tar Heel? Looks like he's going, thought we were going to see a bow and arrow attempt. It looks like he's going for the crossface.
Menjivar, one of 3 seniors on this Greensboro College team, led by Justin Hardy, former All-American here in Chapel Hill.
Menjivar wasn't rolling over. Derricott elected to just get back to our feet, try to score some more points from a takedown.
Derricott stalking his prey. That's a huge snap.
Yeah, Derricott's got a really good pressure snap. High crotch, we saw it there. Great timing, got deep, was able to lock his hands immediately. He's got this Turk attempt. We'll get a couple back points. Maybe even a fall if we can get his shoulders flat. That readjustment of the foot might have done it. You know, it looks close from this angle.
He went back to the right angle a second time, but Menjivar would not fold. Call came from the Greensboro bench for Menjivar to turn Derricott's hips. Petralli pressuring Menjivar all on top.
And no pin, but UNC's off to another quick start in this match.
10-1 Derricott, coach approaching 2 minutes of riding time.
Yeah, Derricott's doing a good job of keeping him flat. He keeps reaching back for that near ankle, almost for a Turk or a bow and arrow attempt. Now he's got 2 legs in. Look to get a claw and tilt him over to his back. Got another 4 count here on the board. 18 seconds left in the period. One more turn could do it. I don't know if there'll be time on the clock for Derricott to get out of here in the first.
No questions about it. All Charlie Derricott through the first 3 minutes.
Derricott elects to go neutral. 1 takedown will get him out of the match. A look for another pressure snap, high crotch attempt for Derricott. We got a shot attempt by Greensboro, by Menjivar. Quick takedown call. Wasn't sure if he was all the way behind him, but that'll do it.
We talked a lot about finishing earlier on. That's the first matchup that's made it to the second period. But Charlie Derricott only lets that last 13 seconds. Smooth tech fall as Derricott pressures Menjivar into dropping the match.
And from North Carolina, Cade Tennell.
So now at 174, we get to see Cade Tennell. Sabino Portela certainly impressed against UNC Pembroke. And Tennell will hope to do the same.
Yeah, this will be the first time we see Tennell today. We had Sabino Portello in the earlier match against Pembroke.
Going up against junior Ethan Kring, local product from Raleigh.
Good underhook by Tennell. Throws it by for a takedown of his own. Collects the wrist. Leaves the wrist, go straight into a bow and arrow attempt. Looks like UNC's got a little signature move on top. This in the cradle. Tennell collects his four back. Looking to continue his work here on top. Roll through tilt. Good job of rolling all the way through it by Kring. But Tennell still's got that wrist trapped. And he's going right back to that bow and arrow attempt. Good job of chaining different moves together by Tennell. Just staying one step ahead of him.
Tennell, a two-time state champion in Iowa. He helped his high school, Don Bosco, win 3 state team championships.
Halfway through the first period here, 7-0. Tennell's going to elect an optional start, probably let Kring get back up to neutral and work for another takedown. Shot attempt by Kring. He got his hands locked, but good heavy hips by Tennell. And he'll circle around for the 3. And we're going back to neutral.
Whole lot of leg on Cade Tennell. Long enough that Kring could not wrap around and really get any control.
Yeah, it was a good reaction time by Tennell and good solid baseline defense. He's got a near wrist, a tight waist. We've seen a lot of this UNC wrestlers going for this bow and arrow attempt. Something I haven't seen in previous years. I don't know which coach has been showing it, but they've definitely been working on this.
What's the key to a successful bow and arrow?
Man, you got to lock in. If you can lock their leg out by controlling the ankle, it's really hard to stop. And so once you get their ankle controlled, if you can step across their body and really turn their hips, it's a hard move to stop. I say the key in stopping it is just not letting them get it started, really. That's what I say about leg defense as well. The best way to get out of legs is to not let them in. So I think it's the same situation with the bow and arrow.
Tennell caused problem after problem for Kring in the first. And he appears to be ready to cut him loose to start the second.
With an escape here, we'll have a 12-point match. 1 takedown will be a tech fall. I'd like to see Tennell press the action here. Good fake attempt by Tennell. Reattacked by Kring pretty good. But again, that same position. Heavy hips by Tennell. He's got the angle. It looks all but done right here.
Locked in. There's the 3. There's the win for Cade Tennell. 19-4, tech fall. Not much that Justin Hardy can do except for shake Kring's hand and wish him the best. Coach Hardy, a 4-time All-American, 4-time ACC champ here. And got his coaching career started at Boston College, but someone who comes back to North Carolina plenty to work with high school clinics, does some recruiting here. And Coach Tony Ramos mentioned that every once in a while, if North Carolina has a wrestler who they feel isn't necessarily ready for D1 yet, they'll send him to one of these lower levels to get some seasoning.
Yeah, that connection and having connections with JUCO programs, NAIA programs, D2 programs is super beneficial because, especially with nowadays the landscape of college wrestling, your roster spots are limited. So sometimes you can't get everybody that you want in the room at the same time.
Aiden Schlett matching up with Jordan Warren at 184. One of those relationship builders for Greensboro College and North Carolina was the Tar Heel Wrestling Club. Greensboro had a national champion at 141, Josh Wilson, who would over the summer come to Chapel Hill and wrestle with a lot of Carolina's guys.
Yeah, if you're a former UNC wrestler or alumni that's in the room a lot, you've probably seen Josh Hardy in there in the summers. Brings over a lot of the good Greensboro wrestlers, and they'll compete with their RTC, and be a little collaborative effort where we're all getting better in the summers. Same with Duke and some Davidson wrestlers and Campbell wrestlers. There's a lot of programs here in North Carolina, and so in the summer when we're not competing against team versus team, we can all work together to get better.
Davidson head coach Nate Carr Jr. was very focused on building up their RTC over the summer. Davidson had 12 to 15 wrestlers stick around campus all summer, train, and then also pick up internships, jobs here and there, so they learned how to do some adulting.
Yeah, the RTC aspect of college wrestling is super important. You see all the top programs around the country, they have a developed RTC, and that's where Davidson's trying to get to. UNC's trying to grow theirs, and it's just one step in building your program.
I think it's also cool how the RTC aspect keeps alumni around, not only for the training purposes, but to be an extra voice, to be an extra helping hand if need be.
Yeah, 100%. You got a limit on the amount of coaches that you can have in the room, and the RTC is one way to get around that. So, me personally, I was in the Tar Heel RTC last year, and I was helping coach and develop some of these wrestlers, but also training myself. And so there's no better place to improve your wrestling skills than in the college wrestling room. And so it works hand in hand. It's good for athletes and good for coaches and the college wrestlers.
Seen Tyler Eichens around here a little bit, former Tar Heel wrestler, also Stanford wrestler.
Yeah, you got Tyler Eichens in there, Chris Foca, Shannon Hanna. The Tar Heel RTC is getting better, and Rob Cole's definitely doing his best to bring in more guys and higher level competition to just add that competition factor into the room where you've got kids that have All-American once, twice, or 3 times, and they get to go against and wrestle live goes against the current athletes, and that definitely helps them and gives them a little bit of experience or confidence as well, just going against that top level of competition.
You get thrown into the fire, but the only people watching are the coaches.
Good top work here by Schlett. 2-on-1 tilt directly into a leg in. That's good transition wrestling by Schlett. And after not seeing this second period through the first 5 matches, we'll see it for the 3rd time in a row. Still have yet to see the 3rd period in this duel.
Jordan Warren, freshman from Clayton, North Carolina, doing his best to hold on.
Carolina will take the bottom position to begin the second period. A season ago, Schlett competed at 184 and 197.
How about that base from Schlett? Warren tried to drag him down, and Aiden Schlett was having none of it.
Yeah, it was a good strong base by Schlett. Warren tried a little back trip attempt on Schlett, but did a good job of sinking his hips, and now we got a cradle attempt right into a pin.
At 184 pounds, Aiden Schlett of North Carolina defeats Jordan Warren of Greensboro College by pin.
Fourth pin of the duel.
Matches to go. UNC 45,
8th of the afternoon for North Carolina. A confidence builder for the Tar Heels as Tony Ramos and Rob Cole share some smirks, doing their best to keep it level over there.
And from North Carolina, Mikey Calcagno.
At 197, Mikey Calcagno back out, facing Isaiah Manning.
Yeah, this will be the second time we get to see Mikey today. He was putting up points and showed some really good stuff on his feet as well as top in his first match. Just a true freshman.
Matching up with Manning, who was Old Dominion All-Conference last year.
Found himself on a leg. That was a good textbook finish by Mikey. I think one of the biggest jumps from high school to college wrestling is one of them's top bottom and the other one I'd say is finishing shots. So it's good to see Mikey being able to get these quick finishes and avoid scrambles.
Quickly flings Manning back to the mat.
Got himself a chicken wing and takes him right over to his back. He got a quick 2 count. Then he'll transition to a crossface. Based on what I've seen from the Tar Heels, we're either going to get a crossface cradle or a bow and arrow attempt working off of the crossface. Manning showing some fight, would rather just wrestle from neutral.
Now, it isn't D1 competition, but if you're an ACC coach who happens to tune in, are you keeping notes on, hey, crossface, bow and arrows, what we have to be ready for?
Yeah, I think you're taking notes of it. You're not putting too much emphasis on it. You want to see if they continue. You might get some cues on some go-to moves and what you're looking for, but you want to continue to monitor how they're scoring points and keep an eye on it, because some of these moves could change, and when it gets to a close match or close competition, you might not take as much risk. But when you are taking risks, this gets an insight of what that risk will look like.
Maybe if a Carolina wrestler is in a spot where they really need to score, this could be what they're going for.
100%, and I think, just from these first couple matches that we've seen, UNC is definitely looking for a bow and arrow or a crossface cradle attempt. They're working off of the crossface on top, and one thing I've seen from neutral is these slide by attempts. I think we saw it 41, 49, 57. We're scoring without getting to the legs, so that would just be emphasizing not letting your hands stay still, but you got to keep them moving. And if you are calling time, you got to pull down or get your opponent off balance. You can't just leave your hands hanging on your opponent with these Tar Heels.
Calcagno sprawls. Manning can't get in on a leg.
Manning stuck on his hip. Wasn't able to build back up. That's good pressure from Mikey. And he's right back in on that crossface. Keeping the crossface, but also keeping control of that near leg. He snuck a leg in, looking to turn his hips, and either with a claw or a hook around the shoulder, pull him over to his back. And doing just that, he transitioned to a half. He got him stuck on his back. This might be it.
Manning can't fight his way out of it. And Calcagno picks up the pin.
Calcagno defeats Isaiah Manning of Greensboro College by fall.
Bright future ahead for Mikey Calcagno. Just a true freshman out here.
He backs up Robert Platt, who we're slated to see against Davidson, but Calcagno could certainly push Platt in that room going forward.
North Carolina, Jacob Levy.
I ask you the question about the signature moves, Clay, because coming up on the slate for North Carolina is 22nd ranked West Virginia, 16th ranked Northern Iowa, and 6th ranked Nebraska. There's not a whole lot of film out there on some of these wrestlers yet.
Yeah, and especially since we're such a young team, you know, we haven't seen a lot of these guys and what they do. And
How
we got
about
a big
the
lift by
slam?
Levy straight to his back. Wow. Can't look away from the TV for a second in this duel.
The show-stopping finisher from Jacob Levy.
We saw a little bit of his athleticism and strength right there on display. And that'll do it.
Amarion Wilson pinned, and North Carolina with a clean sweep of Greensboro College. The final team score 57-0. Probably the quickest duel UNC will wrestle all year, just 33 minutes. Up next for the Tar Heels, Davidson College awaits. We'll step aside from Carmichael Arena and have Carolina and Davidson for you in a few moments.